So now that we have the hard part of the chessboard done, all the pieces, we can make the board, which is actually fairly straightforward. I'm going to switch back to my modeling standard, and I'm going to make a flat plane, and I'm going to hit Control 1 to isolate, which will hide everything other than my plane. The default plane is 10 by 10, and chessboards are a grid of 8 by 8, so I'm going to change that. And this is going to be our board. We will assign a different, two different colors, one for black, one for white, and then model the rim of the chessboard right now. There's a lot of different ways we could do this. I'm going to make it pretty straightforward and just double click on any one of the border edges. That'll select the entire border, and I'm going to extrude. You can change your manipulator size with the plus and minus keys on your keyboard. And I'm just going to extrude up a little bit, and then extrude. I'm going to extrude outward. And I don't actually want to have it be slightly curved, so I'm going to select the entire edge from corner to corner, hit R, and I'm going to scale it in on the red axis. And you can't go over the center, so just scale to be completely flat, and then do the same thing on the other sides. And I'm going to double click on the border again, extrude, this time downwards. It's okay if it goes under the grid a little bit, we'll fix that in a moment. And we have the basics of the chessboard. I do want to do some beveling, as always. So I'm going to double click on this corner, bevel, and I'm going to round it out just with the segments of 2. Do the same thing on this inside edge. And then on the inside border as well, you'll have to do separate selections for all 4 sides. That's because when it comes to this 3-way intersection of edges, it does not know which way to go. But with those selected, I'm going to bevel. So it's already looking a little bit nicer. And the last thing I want to do is bevel these corners. It's going to be a multi-step process. The reason I want to bevel it is everything is nice and rounded, except for this is a perfect 90-degree corner, so it stands out. So I'm going to select all 4 corners at the same time by holding down Shift and double clicking. And then bevel that as well. And this one I am going to have segments of 2. That was the first step. We now have n-gons in all corners. You notice we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we cannot leave it with 6 sides. We cannot leave it as an n-gon. There's 2 different ways that we could go about fixing it. Actually, there's more than 2, but 2 that I'll show you. If we needed to conserve polygons, which we obviously don't because we're beveling everything, but you could very easily cut this in half. So with my multi-cut, and I'll have 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the other side, and it smooths out and looks pretty nice. What I'm going to do is add in more geometry, and so we don't have kind of an awkward split polygon right there. I'm going to hold down Control, and around 10% of the way across, put down an edge, and then continue it over like this. We'll have a similar end result, but the geometry will be a little bit cleaner. And then finally the last corner. So when you hit 3, it will smooth and be very clean. That's all the modeling I'm going to do for this. Feel free to do a little bit more if you want to have more interesting edges, or if you find reference for a chessboard that is different. As long as you have at least this, you will be good. And now I just need to UV it. So I'm going to delete my history and freeze my transformations, put a camera-based projection on it. I don't have a bottom, so it makes this very easy right now. If I hit unfold with the UV shell selected, it will be okay. If we zoom in close, we can see we have some stretching here, and this is super easy to fix. I just need to select the middle edge in each corner, cut it, and let's do the other side right now. And when I unfold it, you can see there's a little gap, and this is now more or less a perfectly straight edge, and that stretching is gone. So I'll do the top now. A lot of the times when you are UVing, you are looking for these corner edges where there are 3 edges like this coming to a corner, or where there's a big change in direction. There's obviously a big change in direction between here and here, but this will unfold very nicely because there is a cut over here. So you're looking for different patterns that come up quite often. So I'm going to hit Control 1 to unisolate, and my chessboard is super small. So I will scale it up. A little bigger. Alright, so now these pieces will fit. And just like with having these 2 different materials, I'm going to assign another material to the chessboard, and we'll call it UV Mat 3. You could also call it chessboard material. I just want to have 1, 2, and 3 to keep it a little bit easier for me. And here we are. When you're going into Substance Painter, it is very important that you do not put the chess pieces on the board, because there will be a slight shadow on the board of where these chess pieces are. So if you were never going to move the pieces, you could bring it in position, but for us, chess pieces can move around. So I'm going to put the chessboard off to the side. And I have UV 3, 2, and 1. These 3 get their own UV layout, so I have 3 pieces on it. These get their own layout, and the chessboard will get its own as soon as I put a layout on it. When you do layout, make sure you check your options box so you have some shell and tile padding. You don't want this to be right up on the edge. So if this was defaults at 0 and 0, see how it just expanded a little bit, and it is right on the border, and that can cause some issues. As you can see, it is on the border, so it is actually going over ever so slightly. So with tile padding, it will get rid of that, and it will also get rid of it if there's multiple UV shells that are right up against each other. I'm going to do a save, and you can make an ID for this. I'm not actually going to have any material IDs or vertex colors. I'm going to show you how to make masks in Painter. I'm going to bring these back to default gray. So what you were seeing here were not material IDs. I was just showing different materials, and I'll show you how to create masks in Painter in the next video.